I just, whoa, there's no countdown. Normally I get to see this countdown, but yes, we are live. This is Talk O Tuesday. I'm so excited to share with you guys today. We have some fun auditions going on. So I have two of the auditioneers here today. We have John DeWitt and Letha Cup, and we're going to get to know them a little bit. So how this works is with Taco Tuesday, first of all, my mission for Taco Tuesday is to provide fun, inspiring, and uplifting content because I believe there's too much junk out there. There's too much negativity. And I totally 100% believe in uplifting people and, putting a positive spin on the planet. So that's what our aim is for this show, Taco Tuesday. My name is Lynda West, and I am your host of the show. And what we're doing is I'm looking for two people to co-host with me, and I want you to vote. So American Idol-ish is, we're going to have you vote after the show is over. The polls will be open, and you can go vote at talkotuesday.tv. But let's just dive right in. First, I want to share, before we dive in, I just share this story really quick, is that I had this idea for Taco Tuesday. I thought it would be fun because, everybody's like, oh, there's Taco Tuesday. We're going to eat tacos, right? So I thought it would be fun to have a talk show called Talk O Tuesday. So I bought the domain name a little over a year ago. And you know how you have an idea, you jump in it, and then you're like, I'm not ready. That was me. I had this idea. I went ahead and bought the domain name, and then I let it sit for about a year. Well, a little over 3 months ago, I think it was, I met Steven Healey, who is producing the show. And Steven does a lot of productions of shows. And I said, hey, Steven, do you want to produce my show, Taco Tuesday? And he said, yes. Well, what did that do? That made me have to put things into motion. And I had to do it because now I have this person who's with me and is going to help me do this show. So that's how this all came about. And then we have our auditioneers coming on, and you guys will vote for the people that you think will be the best to co-host with throughout the season. So without further ado, let's welcome John DeWitt and Letha Cup to the show. Woo! Let's pretend there's a big audience.
Good afternoon.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, you guys, good to see you. I see we have, a couple people here joining us. We have a couple comments that Steven showed up on the screen there. If you have any questions for the auditioneers while we're going, please ask the questions in the comments. If you're watching the replay, do hashtag replay and also ask the questions in the comments there because they'll see them and then they'll be able to answer them later. Okay. So again, the polls will open actually today at 5 p.m. Pacific time, so in just a few hours, so you can go and vote for your favorite. Okay, so Letha, why don't you share with us who you are, what you're all about, and where you're from?
I'm from Floyd's Knobs, Indiana, so really close to Louisville, Kentucky, part of the Derby City. If you've ever been to the Kentucky Derby, you've been to my town. Some of the things that kind of drive me, I'll just kind of throw it out there because some people know that I'm weird like this, but dragonflies are my spirit guides. So okay. They float, they change, they reflect light. That's how we see them up in the skies because their wings are reflecting light. And they also, when they come by you, they represent that there's some times of changing. So I'm always evolving. I'm always learning something new. I'm self-taught on so many of this new technology stuff. It's not even funny. On a different sense, I love dogs. My dogs are my family. And I've learned Reiki to be able to help them and help myself and help all my friends. So that's kind of where I sit. If you've seen dragonflies and you like that, then you know who I am.
Well, it's interesting because I live in San Diego, California, and I don't think I've ever seen a dragonfly. I'm never going to change.
Well, I'll tell you a really quick story, and I won't take very long. I went down to a swamp tour in Louisiana, so I'm on the swamp boat, the airboat. It's got 6 of us on the tour, and they pull up on this marsh, and I'm looking at all of these dragonflies everywhere, different colors. They're flying everywhere. And he's asking, does anybody have any questions? And I said, how many varieties of dragonflies do you have in Louisiana? And he just looked at me in his deep Cajun voice and he said, that's the first time anybody's ever asked that question. So maybe it's a South thing, but they're also known as mosquito hawks. So they eat mosquitoes. That's their job.
Okay.
So maybe you don't have mosquitoes there.
Well, we have Kentuckiana. Hey,
yes,
Deb. Awesome. You guys, good to see you guys today. So again, if you have any questions while we're going, go ahead and ask them in the comments below. So thank you so much, Letha, for being here. I'm really excited to get to know a little bit about you because just so you guys know, I don't know Letha. I hadn't met her prior to this at all. So, I'm interested to find out like how she found out about this. But so I'm going to get to know her just like you are. Okay. So John DeWitt, welcome to the show. Why don't you share with everybody, who you are, what you're all about?
All right. I am Dr. John DeWitt. I played 12 years of professional football, spent time with the Houston Oilers, won the NFL Europe Championship in Scotland, which was pretty awesome. So I got to go all around Europe, which was fun. Played up in Canada and the XFL, fun stuff like that. But then, when I was 31, 32, I'm like, I need to figure out how I'm going to actually, make a living after football. And so I decided to go to chiropractic college. That was after dabbling in pharmacy school for a year and decided that that was not the way I wanted to go. Became a doctor of chiropractic and now have gotten certified in concussion assessment, which is a big deal. And one of my big passions right now with brain health, there's a lot of issues going on with that. And just really excited to help as much as I can for people that they have kids that are wanting to play football. They're not sure if they should, and other sports, because it's soccer and lacrosse, all these different sports. There's a lot of brain issues that could come about. And so I like to try to ease their mind and tell them what they can do to help or lower the risk for any kind of concussion. And nutritional stuff. I'm an advanced sports nutrition specialist and a whole bunch of stuff. I just collect certifications and whatnot and just try to help people as much as I can. And I've written 10 books on a variety of different things, from a natural vision correction to how to have a safer golf swing.
Wow, that is quite a difference.
Yeah, I know.
Awesome. Well, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. This is fun. I just getting to know people on different level and stuff. So thank you guys for being here. So John, why don't you share with us like what it is that you are going to bring to this show? Like, what is it that you want to share as far as maybe topics that you're going to want to cover? Because what's going to happen is once the co-hosts are selected, the two co-hosts are selected, that's when we'll decide on the topics. And so, the topics need to be something that the audience is interested. So I want to hear what you're going to bring to the table.
Well, luckily, because I do have all those books on Amazon, I kind of know what people are interested in. And the most popular book I have is the one on natural vision correction. And it's kind of cool because it's based on the Bates method, plus a little bit of a modern twist on that. But he was an ophthalmologist back in the 1800s that decided that glasses actually were more like a crutch and your eyes could heal themselves if you just learned how to train them correctly. And so it's got a series of exercises and nutritional stuff, like I said, a lot of really interesting things. That's one thing that seems to be really popular. The golf is ironic because people don't realize that when you go to the batting range, to the golf range to hit balls, they're hitting them like a machine gun. They're just like bam, 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 and you're supposed to take a minute for each ball. That way you have a full chance to recover and relax, and that makes sure that you're going to reduce your chances of injury. So golf is really popular, vision's popular, and of course all the concussion stuff is really, really important too. Because my dad's been suffering as well with some dementia, right on the verge of that, and because I had multiple concussions, it's kind of scary. I like to kind of be the poster child for it. You can have several concussions, but still move on and get additional degrees and teach yourself, learn things and stuff like that. So you don't have to give up hope as long as you do all the right nutritional stuff.
When you're on the football field, are there people who don't get concussions? I mean, it seems to be, just one of those things like everybody's, hitting each other. So
yeah, the kicker usually doesn't get a concussion because they're not in there. They don't, it's a penalty if you hit the kicker, but everybody else pretty much. I was a defensive lineman, so I hit my head every single play, and so it's just kind of back in the day they don't do 2-a-day practices anymore, which I thought was ironic because we used to have 2-a-days and in the pros you had 3-a-days, so you're just practicing like crazy. And now they've changed the rules so much, which is good, but it's kind of hindering the defense because they can't quite do what they want to because they have to think about, I want to tackle this guy, but I don't want to hurt him. And it's kind of a weird way to look at it, but yeah.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how football does evolve, if it does, through this new awareness of concussions and things. Well, thanks so much for sharing that. And then you, Letha, so what are you going to bring to the table?
Well, I'm sort of a little bit of a gypsy. I really kind of get my hands in so many different things. My first and foremost, which is part of my career, is also more of a natural healthcare for pets and people because I love animals. I work with animals. I work with animal people, but not necessarily just plain people. And sometimes what I find is on the energy side of things, everybody is sharing the energy, and we're sharing it with each other. We're sharing it with our animals, and we all end up being crossing over too much. So what I try to do is separate all of that for people and work with them so that they can help their animals and help themselves. Some of the other things that I think that I really enjoy, and I don't really enjoy it as in, oh, it's my favorite, but I've had experience with a lot of healthcare issues, not only being a caretaker of a stroke victim for 20 years, but also having a health scare myself, that I try to get away from all chemicals and try to do all natural as much as possible. I do believe that there's an integration that can be there. And like John, there's a way that you can manage without always having to go in one direction if you put the whole team together to work with you. And that other gypsy side of me is I love metaphysical things. I love ghosts. I listen to late night radio. I love dealing with some of those outside spiritual metaphysical things. And that is a big interest of mine. And then just even helping people see the light at the end of the tunnel. That's one of the things. I don't really coach people, but I definitely counsel with them. And I'm always trying to help them see that there's more to life outside of their own little tunnel, and to reach out to them that way. So some of the things that I would do is all in that little realm of Letha's greatest hits. That's the best way I can describe it.
I love that. Letha's greatest hits. I'm going to have to work on my greatest hits. What are your greatest hits, John?
Geez, I don't know. The championship that we won. We also won the high school state championship, which was kind of neat back in Arkansas. I'm from Arkansas, so I'm from the South too, just like Letha. And dragonflies get really big out there. You can throw a saddle on those suckers and ride them around if you're not careful. And it's so funny because I've known people that thought that dragonflies actually bite, and so they were scared they were going to get bitten. And I'm like, well, they usually don't come after you, so just relax. But I
put a saddle on it.
Put a saddle on it. That'll be my new logo, me riding a dragonfly. But it's kind of fun. I like to just talk about a variety of different things, and the people that I've met. That's the most interesting thing, because we're at a chiropractic office now in Southern California. We see so many people. Unfortunately, the late DJ Avicii, he was a patient of ours, and he came in, and it was just really sad to see someone that was so young that had already had so many health issues, and he was trying to get better. And it's just, in that industry, it's hard to stay healthy unless you're surrounded by all the right people, and that kind of is a little unfortunate. But we've had Darryl Green came in. He's a Hall of Fame defensive back from the Redskins. He was awesome, really great guy. And I also have befriended Jim McLear, the CEO of the Alzheimer's Orange County, the association here, and that's helped a lot as far as the brain health and trying to help not only the kids that want to help optimize their brain function and not have to worry about dementia or reduce the risk, but also people that are already in that situation and want to stop it and see about reversing the effects of that cognitive decline. That's kind of my main passion right now.
Awesome. I love that. Now that kind of helps me to segue to my next question. And that is, for the show, for the co-hosts, having them on the show, one of the things we're going to do as well. So it's going to be me with two co-hosts, but there's also one space here on Be Live TV where we can add a guest in. So periodically we'll have guests. Maybe every week we'll have guests. I'm not really sure yet. It's all depends on what we all decide. But so why don't you share with us like some of the guests that you can bring onto the show that will be, of interest to the audience, so they can decide if who they want to vote for. So let's start with you, Letha.
Okay, so I've asked a lot of questions to a lot of my friends, and I do not know the celebrities, but I do know some really cool people. Beth Schofield is one of my friends. She's written a book that is about cooking treats for your dogs. Now, that anybody can do that, right? Well, she actually was working in the pharmaceutical industry and then went to school to get a degree, and she is a degreed baker. And she wrote this book because she trains her Weimaraners, and they go tracking, they do agility, they do all of those wonderful sports, but they also, Weimaraners are classic for allergies. And so she can tell us how to adjust recipes for cooking for your dogs at home, especially on the treats. And then you can also pick up some information for that for yourself too, on adjusting things to help with allergy issues. Another couple friend of mine, Madeline and Ron. Madeline's in her 70s and Ron's in his 80s, and they have traveled to 6 of 7 continents. The only one they haven't been to is Antarctica. So they're like I live vicariously through them and all of their wonderful travels. And they've been to so many cities. She's busy trying to write down all of the different ones so that I would have more knowledge of where she's been. And they're planning on Egypt and India next year or sometime soon. And then I have a friend named Lorena Peter, and she's a PhD of psychologist, and she is a medical medium. Now, she's a psychologist. She's she's done talk therapy. She's done other types of therapy with people, but also she is able to look at you and look at the body as a whole. So we're looking at mind, body, spirit, all 3 levels. And if you have an issue, say you have a liver issue, that's going to totally relate back to your anger that you might be holding on to. So she helps you to get to the root of what is going on in the body. Thus, it's not necessarily a physical thing, but maybe even a emotional or spiritual thing that you need to work with. So she's a really great person to talk to, and I just enjoy being around her, and I know other people would too. So those are 3 of my different gypsy soul, pieces that I would look at.
Awesome. So we have a question from Deb, which we're going to come to in just a minute. So thank you, Deb, for asking the question. Really do appreciate that. So John, why don't you share with us some of the people that you're going to bring to the show?
I also thought about this a lot and was really excited because there's so many neat people that you meet because I basically feel like I live 2 lives.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it looks like John disappeared.
Technical problems.
So, John, if you can hear us. So okay, John's
back.
Hold on one second. That's Steven who popped in, by the way. That's our producer of the show, Steven Healey. Oh, there he goes. So we're working on. Okay. So John, you had broken up there. So you mentioned Under Armour, and then
and then the one of the top 100 businessmen in Nashville was the other defensive end at Vanderbilt when I was there, and Alan Young is his name. He actually played for the Jets for several years as well, back when they were better than they are now. But and also who was some other people. I have a really interesting individual that is a patient of mine that owns I think he owns the most mortuaries in Southern California, and actually trains other morticians on how to use that as a business, which is really fascinating guy. So that's 3 really interesting guys. Plus I know also played football with Shelton Quarles, who played for Vanderbilt, played for the Buccaneers, and now he's the head of personnel for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So neat stuff.
Awesome. I'm just going to ask one quick question. The one who owns the mortuaries, is his first name Michael?
No.
Okay. I just want to know if it's the same person as I know. Okay.
Okay.
Cool. Well, I'm going to ask this question though. So Deb asked, Letha, I would love seeing you as a co-host. Tell us a recent magical experience. And so while Letha's mentioning this, John, think of a recent magical experience you've had too.
Well, my life is all about unexpected experiences, that's for sure. I just came back from a girls' trip down to Louisiana, but we stopped in Memphis, Tennessee on the way to see Elvis, who I love. I saw him when I was 9 years old in concert. And we had we decided to stop over to the National Civil Rights Museum, the Lorraine Motel. We're having a very emotional experience there. And this gentleman who looked like an old hippie, he came out and he said, "Are you all okay? Are you crying?" And so we said, "Yeah, it's an emotional thing." Then it gets to know he's an empath. And I'm like, "Yes, I understand. I'm an empath as well." And he said, "Have you been hearing the ringing tones in your ear?" I'm like, "I know I don't have tinnitus, but I do hear the ringing tones." And he told me to look up the 528 frequencies. So I look it up, and it's about the angels. Who would have thought that I'm sitting there meeting a total stranger telling me a message that the angels are raising our vibrations? Now that's the woo-woo side of me. It's a little Southern California for you, but it was like I'm on vacation with the girls. I didn't expect to get a message from the angels, but they're telling me to listen to the messages because we're raising the vibration. How cool is that?
That is very magical. That is so interesting. I'm going to have to listen to my ears.
A little weird.
I want to hear that. I want to hear the angels. So that's what they sound like, is a high frequency. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. That's cool. Okay, John, tell us about a magical experience.
Well,
Don't tell us you had the same thing.
no, I didn't have the same thing, but it's interesting with that particular frequency because I did a pineal gland cleanse probably 6 months ago, and that's the third eye, and when you do that, part of it is listening to certain tones, and it decalcifies the pineal gland, and I didn't know what to expect, and after 6 weeks of doing that, it was really cool because you would see things. Like you would talk to somebody and they would mention something, and the very next day somebody else would mention the exact same thing, and it's like you would just remember those connections without really realizing it before. And so that was just kind of a really neat thing. Magical wise, one of my patients is she's a tarot card reader. She's an amazing lady, and she wanted to read my palm before I adjusted her last week. And so she looked at my left hand and she was looking at it. She's like, "That is amazing. This is like your gladiator hand. This is back when you were playing football, and look at this and that." And I'm like, "Okay, that's cool." She's like, "Let me see your other hand." She's like, "This is crazy. This is like you had one hand from two totally different people. This is like your doctor hand, your caring for people hand." And I'm just kind of like, okay. And she's like bending my hand and looking at the little edges and the wrinkles and stuff. And I'm just like, I was just getting chills. I'm like, well, that's pretty accurate, but that's kind of cool.
That is cool. Oh my gosh. So let me ask you about the pineal gland.
Yeah.
What is it you said you did to it? You cleared it somehow? Or
decalcified it. And that basically, if you do beetroot juice, which is really good, it's really high in boron, it helps to decalcify the pineal gland. It gets calcified because of the fluoride in the water and other toxins in our system. And so I did that. I got fermented blue skate oil, which they only have up in Alaska. And that was a super highly concentrated omega-3, the really good fats for the brain, which is another thing with the brain, which is really good. And then sitting and listening to those particular frequencies that Letha was talking about, it really helps you connect with the spiritual side and just makes you more, adds to your overall awareness. It's pretty awesome.
Wow.
That's true.
That sounds interesting. So how do you find that stuff from Alaska?
Just Google blue skate oil.
Okay, so it's just like something you can buy on Amazon or something like that.
Yeah.
That's cool. Okay, so let's see. We have a couple of minutes left. So what I'd like you guys to do, okay, let me see. I have to look at my phone because my computer says it's November 10th at 9:51 p.m., which it's actually November 13th, I think.
Oh, it's my birthday, by the way. It's my birthday,
yes.
So everybody has to vote for me.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Letha. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday,
to you. Happy birthday, dear John.
Happy birthday
to you. I kind of like the Beatles version a lot better. They say it's your birthday.
Yeah, that one's really fun. I like to do, you guys might not know, but for 2 years in a row, I sang happy birthday to all of my Facebook friends. That was in 2016 and 2017. What was interesting about it is in 2016, when I started it, I had about 1,100 Facebook friends. So it wasn't so bad. Like one day I might have 3 people. One day I might have 4 or 5. And then by the end of 2017, I had 5,000 Facebook friends. So I would have like 13 one day, 20 the next day. Like, don't do that. It was fun, but oh my gosh, it really and I actually would sing a different song. So the reason I mentioned that is I would use songs like They Say It's Your Birthday. I would just use random songs and sing.
I saw you did that on Snapchat too, I think, with the little mask and stuff you were trying to do.
Yeah. Not very often.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking of doing it next year, but I've changed my mind. I'm not going to do it. I'll just do it every once in a while. It's a lot of fun. So with that, like what's something different that you do that you would say that this is something that I don't think really many people do this. Like some people might do it, but not many. When do you go for it?
That's all Letha. I'm going to think.
Oh, yeah, thanks. I'm really good at that. So I like to listen to people. And I'm imagining, I'm kind of listening to what they're not saying, which I've already looked further enough into the future, and I've already figured out what happened in the past. Part of that Libra side of me, I'm already thinking of all of these different possibilities while I'm still having a conversation. So before they even finish, I've already figured out an answer to it. But I'm working on trying to remember to listen. There's a curse and a blessing at the same time. It's like, you tell me the problem, it's like, what was that scene in the most recent Avengers? The Avengers 4, the Infinity War, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Doctor Strange is doing his pose, and he says, I've already looked at a million different options, and there's only one that's going to work. So that's me. I'm sitting there figuring out all of the different options. So that's difficult. It's the blessing and a curse. So that's something special about me.
That's awesome. Okay, so I see Steven just gave us the 5-minute warning.
Let me not talk fast.
Yes.
Well, mine's pretty simple. I'm kind of a self-help junkie, and so I'm always trying to read books that are from people that, autobiographies, people that have done things, or certain. I'm reading What Would the Rockefellers Do right now on investing and retirement and that kind of stuff. And I always like to be pushing myself to figure out, okay, what can you do better today than you did yesterday? And so it's a real simple kind of formula for life. If you're always doing something a little bit better every single day, then over time you're going to just be getting better and better and better. And I'm not always perfect, but I mean, today's my birthday. I can do what I want. But but yeah, I think that's something, because I've been through some pretty rough stuff back in college. One of my best friends actually ended up killing himself, and that was horrible. And that's another reason that I do the brain health research, because he was a big football guy and a lot of concussions and other issues. But that's one of the things. I have a picture of him on my phone, and it says, get better every single day. And that's all you can do.
Yeah, I have the same exact philosophy. Every morning I wake up and say, what can I do today to make me a better person? Just so that every day I'm improving. And it works. It really, really works, because at the end of the 1 year, you'll be like, oh my gosh, look, I'm a totally different person than I was a year ago, right? So
and it keeps you from living in the past too. A lot of people just let their past determine their future, and that's not any way you want to live.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we have just a couple minutes left. So John, starting with you, why don't you share with the audience how they can reach you, so that if they want to, just like chat with you or do some work with you or what have you, why don't you share with the audience how they can reach you?
They can reach me on Facebook. I'm at Dr. J. DeWitt on Facebook, and they can message me there and stuff. I'm actually taking a little digital detox starting today from my websites and all that. So that's the best way to get in touch with me, is through the Facebook page.
So is your detox like an hour a day?
It's literally, I'm pausing all of my websites and just going to do social media, Facebook, Instagram, stuff like that.
Oh, okay. Oh, gotcha. Okay, cool. So you're not like totally like disappearing from the digital world.
No. Social media, I'm going to be all over that. I'm tired of trying to do websites and optimize them and all that stuff. I don't have time for that right now.
I know. I tell you, I'm hearing you. So, okay, Letha, why don't you share with us how they can find you?
So people can find me on my Facebook page, which is where I spend too much of my time, and that's Letha, LETHACUPP, first and last name, on Facebook. So that's one of the ways that they can reach out to me.
Isn't it interesting? Like 10 years ago, there wasn't even a Facebook. And so it was back then, it was, you have to either email me or go to my website. Everything was done on a website. And now I just find that, everybody's like send them to your Facebook, just like here, go to a Living Live show. So it's at Living Live Show. And that's where you can find this show while you're watching it right now. So that's where you're watching it. But the polls are going to open at 5 p.m. Pacific time. So in a little bit, like 4.5 hours, the polls are going to open so that you can vote for your favorite. So if you liked John and Letha, you have to decide between the two. Sorry about that. That's just the way it works. So next up, I'm going to be bringing up Anita and Angela, and they'll be for the next round of the auditioneers. And I want to thank John and Letha so much for sharing with us who you are, what you're all about. And I think I'm so glad I'm not voting. That's all I got to say. That's all
Thank you so much, Lynda. It's been fun.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Lynda. Thanks, John. It's nice talking with you.
You too.
Thank you guys. And I'll let you know how it goes. Okay, so next we're going to bring up, we have Steven Healey in the background. Abigail shared that, great information. Thanks for sharing. It's awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in, Abigail. And then we have Angela showing up, and then we have Anita showing up. Okay, you guys. So here we are for a Taco Tuesday. This is round one, and this is show number 2. So this next half hour, we're going to do the same kind of format where I'm going to ask questions. And Anita, you might actually need to mute your phone because it's a lot of noise back there. So,
Really?
yes. So ask you guys questions, and then you guys just go and answer the questions. And if you have any questions, or you're watching and you have questions of them as we go, please go ahead and ask the questions in the comments, and we will see those. So welcome to the show, Anita and Angela. I'm glad to see you guys here. We're going to start off with Angela. First of all, welcome to the show. Why don't you share with our guests and with everybody watching here who you are and what you're all about?
All right. So my name is Angela, and I am actually a personal chef, and I teach cooking classes, and I do catering also. But before that, I was a school teacher for many years, and I love kids, love working with kids, and I still do as a chef. I'm teaching cooking classes with them, which is so much fun. So yeah, I was a teacher for many years. Now, for the past year, I've built my own business, which is exciting and lots of work, and I'm learning a ton. And I believe strongly in bringing dinner time back to the family table, meaning having families come around and share that quality time together. I am Italian, and so my parents were born in Italy and raised there, and I was raised with, that you come around the table and have dinner together and spend that time chatting. So I'm hoping to share that, and that's kind of a little bit about me.
Awesome. Welcome to the show, and thanks for sharing. Anita, so why don't you go ahead and share with us who you are and what you're all about?
Well, it is really nice to meet everyone. My name is Anita Myers, and really what I do is I take everyday regular folks and I turn them into superheroes. The superheroes that they really are. They didn't know it, but they find out that they actually truly are. So that's what I do.
Awesome. And so what are you all about? Like, what is Anita all about? Because that's one aspect of you. So what would you say?
That's a lot of my aspect. But to answer your question, I am a coach, trainer, and a consultant. And the areas that I really hone my expertise in is mind power. So I spend my life taking care of that arena. Sorry, I just went up the stairs and I'm out of breath. So I'm trying to get all that information out. So if I sound like I'm out of breath, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Been there, done that. It's like, when did one flight of stairs make me get out of breath?
Yeah. I started my business, Interscope Consulting, back in 2010. I've been in consulting for over 25 years, and I made a decision to get myself involved in an area that I think is neglected in the wellness industry, and that's all about the mental and emotional wellness aspect of things. So that is my passion, making sure that we can plug that back into the wellness world.
What made you get into that, and how has that become like your thing?
I would say that growing up in an environment where this is like the area of the untouchable, the stuff that you don't always get to see or feel or touch. So we're talking about the emotions, the thoughts, the things that you feel. These things are in my upbringing. There were circumstances that have you suppress yourself. And I know I'm not alone. As I got older and I started talking to people, and now as adults, we talk amongst each other about all sorts of historical problems and challenges that we've had. I learned that in the beginning, there's a lot of suppression. You're not allowed to feel. You're not allowed to go through. I even still hear, suck it up, don't cry, don't deal with that. You'll be fine. And as you grow and you hear these repetitive comments, it becomes part and parcel of your life. It becomes your habit. And as you get through your teenage years, you hear these echoes and they become part of your definitions. And so all the mistakes you start making in your life could most likely be from the way that you were guided, from the information that you were given. And sometimes if you're not in an environment where it is a supportive environment, that people that are in your support system are level-headed, that they do understand all the different aspects. Most of us, I'm going to speak for myself, but I can also speak for a lot of other folks that I've met. There's a lot of dysfunction that takes place in the home, in the community, your social environment, and we start defining ourselves based on what we see on the outside. And when I built my business, I called it Interscope, because it really all starts within. And the name Interscope is seeing within, looking within. So that's where I think is really important. Knowing the way that I was brought up, knowing the way the mistakes have been made as we get older, and the destructive ways people speak, and the way our mind gets trained, if we can get an opportunity to retrain our brain so that it can flow right, that there's not so much of an erosion from other people's definitions. I think that there is the mindset that everyone talks about, and I think mindset is so important. It's fantastic. It's definitely important. It's your default. But there has to be a mind power that is like the engine that makes that run. And that's what made me start getting dedicated to it. I used to work in the insurance industry for over 15 years, and I spent my time educating the insurance world, the PPOs, the HMOs, talking to employers, talking to the employees, troubleshooting. But what I ended up finding out was behind all the T's that are crossed and the I's that are dotted rested hearts that were disappointed, hearts that had issues and challenges, things that had to do with personal that couldn't be brought into the professional realm. You're not supposed to talk about personal issues when you're at work, but you're human. And so what ended up happening is the time that I'd spend talking with them about work would slowly open up situations that would happen on a personal basis. And what I saw more than anything is, while everyone on the outside is saying, they're answering the question of, if the manager's asking how you're doing, the answer that you would typically hear is, I'm fine. And that I'm fine on the outside looks good on paper, but if they're not fine on the inside, should they wait until, it's too late, where they now need to seek therapy? Should they wait until something really bad takes place in order for them to start recognizing that they don't have to feel the way they feel? And so as I got through the insurance world, I had the opportunity to decide if I wanted to do something of my own. And I really didn't want to talk about insurance anymore when I got to the level that I was at. I thought, you know what, I think it's time to heal a lot of hearts out there. And I knew I had the ability to do so, to get them from point A to B in a much shorter fashion.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. That's awesome work that you do. So I want to make sure you'll get to Angela. So Angela, the same thing with you. Like, what made you decide to do this? Because your mission is, bringing dinner to the table, right? And bringing the families back to the table, because that's definitely missing in households. So what made you decide that, that's your mission?
Yeah, thank you. So I was raised in an Italian home where everything was made from scratch. Cooking next to my grandmother and my mother, everything homemade, where you take time. It takes hours and hours, and dinner time also takes hours to sit down and have a slow meal and have everyone together and spend that quality time. So I just felt strongly about, spreading the word about really bringing dinner time back to the family table. And what I do actually, Lynda, is I give each family, along with their meals, if I'm making the meals, I include a conversation starter that I write on beautiful paper, and I handwrite it. And it's so that the kids around the table or whoever's having dinner can choose a conversation starter, read it out loud, and then have that quality conversation. There are studies that I researched that kids improve in so many different ways. I mean, from using drugs, it's very much less drug use, much better grades, a lot of confidence. And I have all that information about what it does to just really slow down and stay around the dinner. And nowadays, with how rushed we are and busy and both parents working, it's really becoming difficult to do that. And so anyway, I feel like I want to share that and get that word out there, so that we are, coming together and supporting our kids and family.
Thanks. What I like about it is that you give them that conversation starter, because oftentimes, families don't really know what to talk about. So by giving that conversation starter, how'd you come up with that idea?
Yeah, thank you. I'm actually looking into patenting my conversation starters. I came up with it because I realized that it sounds funny, but literally it's difficult for parents to think of what to say many times. Or they'll say the same thing. How was your day? How was school? And kids say, good, fine. Well, that's not enough. We need to get them to open up. We need to get them to share, and also the parents to share, not just expecting our kids to, share their entire feelings and day, but also the parents really to open up. And so I think that conversation starter is the beginning of getting them, just having a topic that will bring about a special conversation that's memorable. So.
Okay. Well, thanks for sharing that. I'm going to ask you a question about that in just a second. So, Anita, what would you share with us? Share with us, like, if you're selected as one of the co-hosts, like somebody that you would bring on as a guest to the show. Because what we'll do is we'll have the two co-hosts as well as a slot to invite guests to join us. And so I'm wondering, like, as far as the co-hosts, like, who they can bring to the table. So it can be either a name, or it could be, like somebody who, it doesn't have to be a name that we all know or anything, but maybe just something that you can bring to the table.
Well, honestly, I want to bring Jason Momoa to the table along with Matthew McConaughey, and can't do that, but that's a fantasy. In real life,
yeah.
Well, I can always hope. Maybe they're watching. You never know.
That's true.
In reality, if I could bring someone, there's so many names in my Rolodex of, I'm going to call superheroes. I think they're amazing people. One for sure is Lauren Harris. He is, I'm a fan of his. He's a fantastic motivational speaker. He's gone through the whole foster care system, and the information he has to share is riveting. And it is about humanity and how one can get through the challenges that are brought to you, and the climb he took and the journey he was on. I couldn't spoil it. I'd rather you just watch what he says and hear his words. They're just beautiful. They're inspirational. They're motivational, but it's something that humanity needs to hear. And so he's someone that, he could talk about any topic, and he can bring purpose to it for any chance that we have him on. I'd love to have him on 50 times in a month. I'd love to have him on all the time. He's wonderful.
See, that might be a little overboard because there's only 31 days in a month.
I know, that's my point. Like, I'm totally exaggerating. Like, I would love to have him come on as often as possible. He's wonderful.
Just have him move in.
Yeah, like, why not?
And then what about you, Angela?
So I would ask a friend named Sean Cassidy. He's a CEO and of Creative Solutions, and he does a lot of public speaking. He had a really hard childhood and has grown to be just an amazing man who offers, a lot of inspiration. So his name is Sean Cassidy. I would also ask Kathy Selman because she is a coach and creator of Wink. And I am a Wink member, which is Women Incorporated. And she's just such a strong woman. She's just a supporter of women in business. And she's super positive and has overcome a lot in her life as well. And I have a third if you're interested.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, bring them on. You got names, bring them on.
Yeah. So her name is Jennifer Mendoza, and she's actually on City Council in Lemon Grove. She just won last week. And I'm a Seroptimist as well, which is a philanthropy organization for women that supports women and girls. And so Jennifer is also in my Seroptimist club, and she's on City Council as well. So I'd like her to be on.
Okay, awesome. Thank you guys so much. So why don't you share with us, Angela, I wanted to go back to the, bringing the conversations to the table, because this is a conversation that, like, my family, when I was growing up, we did sit at the table, and I don't really remember any of our conversations, but do you, like, the conversation starters that you come up with, do you have them be ones that you're thinking are going to be memorable, or how do you decide how to start a conversation for a family that you don't know? Like, you don't know, like, say you don't know the family, right? You have these conversation starters. How do you decide to come up with ones?
Yeah. So I think about whether they have children, how old the children are, and I want it to be applicable for them. So I'm not going to ask, a question that doesn't apply, but then I just create them based on that. And I don't want to stump the kids, make it too difficult for anyone, or even the parents, like, oh my goodness, I have to answer this question, So I just want it to be an easy question, but something that brings up your past, something that, will glean something about you. So, and I like to ask questions where you really never thought to ask them that. And now you get to share it. Like, what is something you've always been afraid of, for example, that question. And it's not something you would ever think to ask your kids, but now they're answering it, and it's just so eye-opening.
Oh, cool. Now I'm going to ask you, after Anita answers this next question, I'm going to ask you to share with us one of your conversation starters, and then have Anita and I answer it.
Oh, yay.
Okay, cool. Okay, so Anita, why don't you share with us, like, the superhero? How did you come up with that? Why superhero? Because there's so many words we can come up with, right? So why did you select that word? Is there like a certain superhero that you followed, or how did you come up with that?
Well, I don't know if you can see what's shining over here right there, but my greatest superhero is Wonder Woman. I have a lot of stories to tell with the reasons for superhero, but I guess to keep it contained for this specific interview, I would say that the greatest superhero of all kind is the Almighty. And I believe with all my heart that there are powers that the Almighty provides us. And when we can actually tap in to those powers, so many incredible things happen, and they're called blessings. But the fact is that we're given these powers so we can utilize them. We don't always know about it. And why superheroes? Because when I was a young girl, I'm an only child. I was in my home, which was somewhat dysfunctional. There were a lot of arguments, a lot of hardship, a lot of lonely times for me. But the one thing I looked forward to, now mind you, there was a point in my life where I would say 3rd grade through 5th grade, I was bullied all the time, going to school and coming back because of my color, because of my ethnicity, because of just me, whatever it was. I was followed and bullied all the way, and it was just a really tough time for me. I'd come home and I'd have to deal with what was going on in the house. And so a lot of it, none of it was a physical abusive experience. I would say 99% of it was emotional abuse. But when I got into the home and there was that time of quiet, I'd flip on the TV. Now this is the 70s. I'd flip on the TV and there was Lynda Carter.
Yeah,
in all of her glory. She had her hair in that bun, and she was like so serious about work. You know what I'm saying? She's like, I'm going to work. I'm going to do my thing. And then all of a sudden there was a call for help. And what happened? This reserved woman with her glasses of seriousness pulls that off, finds a place to go, and does a little spinny spin. And there's this phenomenal, gorgeous, amazing, curvy, powerful woman, and she'd conquer all the challenges. Yes, it wasn't easy. A lot of things were challenges for her, but she was able to do it, and she kept doing it. She had that lasso of truth, girl. Let me tell you, that lasso of truth represents so much of our hearts. And so as I got older, there's Superman, Batman, Iron Man, Thor, Spider-Man, just you name it. I can't tell you how happy I was to finally see Wonder Woman on the silver screen. I don't know how excited you guys were, but this mama right here, I was like, this is my year. This is my day. I was so happy. And when you think about superheroes, in real life, there are heroes. There are superheroes. They're all around us, but we're so trained to look at the negative things in life. We're trained for it. Our brain wants to find the drama, wants to find and get excited about, or not really excited, but more in awe of the hard stuff, the negative stuff. But Mr. Rogers, I don't know if you remember Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, if anyone out there does, but Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, Mr. Rogers' mom had told him that whenever there was some kind of calamity, look for the heroes. And I'm paraphrasing, but to look for the heroes, because those are the folks on the silver screen. They are metaphoric to the real heroes that are here. And so it's so incredibly inspiring when you watch what they can do on TV. I mean, they take them to the kinds of limits that we can't really seem to imagine. But if we really took a moment and started looking around us and seeing some of the stories, especially now on social media platforms, you see videos all day long about these people that do things that you just cannot believe they did it, but they did. And to me, I find that to being tapping into something that nobody really knows about and pulling out this power. I've done it for myself. I'm here today. There was a time where I might not have been. And it didn't require so much of the physical things that we see in front of us. It required the untouchable thing that's found within us. And that's why I really have a mean, awesome thing for superheroes.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. I love that. And yes, Lynda with a Y, Lynda Carter. Yeah, she was always my favorite because of that one thing right there. But so what I want to do is we have just a few minutes left. So I'm going to have Angela ask you and me, Anita, one of her table questions that she asked. And then what we're going to do is, you guys, this is Taco Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific today. The polls will open for you to vote. You'll go to livinglive.tv. So you'll have a choice between Anita or Angela. And then you also have a choice between our last two people, who were John and Letha. So you can go in there and vote. You can only vote for one in each segment. So the first half hour vote for one of them, and then the second half hour vote for the other one. Again, that's tacotuesday.tv, and that will be open at 5 p.m. today. So Angela, I'm kind of excited to see you interview us. You have a question for us. What is our question?
Okay.
Our table topic.
So your conversation starter is, tell us about one of your best summertime memories. When you're out of school and it's summertime, what is one that comes to mind?
Okay, so here's the thing, Anita. We only have like 1 minute each, so you got to keep it short. So you want to go first? Yes. Okay, you go first.
I like that, Lynda. You're hilarious. Best summertime. I will just say when you fall in love and you get into a relationship.
Well, that was very short. Okay, so I'll take a
story, I guess. One story in 2 words.
There we go. I have a similar type of situation. So I'm thinking back to when I was a kid, because the question really was about when you were in school. So my mind immediately went back to junior high school. And there was this boy that I really, really liked. His name was Jim. We were his neighbor, and I just had this huge crush on him. Looking back, I don't know why, because he was really a goofball. But maybe that's why I liked him so much, because he was such a goofball. But I remember this is I was in band. I played flute, and we were at band camp, and there was Jim, and he was in the swimming pool, and he had his trunks on. And I just stared at him the entire time. Like, it's like, there's Jim. Oh, look, he swims. Like everything he did, every single move he made. I just had such a crush on him. I was, 7th grade. Big crush on that guy. And we never ended up becoming a boyfriend and girlfriend. I don't remember what happened. Probably he was like the flavor of the month,
Lynda, you know what's so funny is that I played the flute and I was in band too. And my crush was in 8th grade. Was it Jim? No. That was the new flavor of the month, right? That I was going to get him in 8th grade and you were going to get him in 7th grade. Exactly. So Angela, why don't you share with us yours? Oh,
see what you can discover when you have these interesting questions to answer. It's not something you would normally chat about. So, mine was going to Italy when I was 11 years old with my mother, and we met my brother there who was in the army, and my brothers told us, hey, I'm going to go. He was in Germany, and he said, I'm going to go to Italy on my time off, because we have family in Italy. We're Italian. So my mom decided to have her and I go surprise him in Italy. And the guy was only 18 years old, my brother, and I was 11. And it was just incredible, surprising him. And I remember he arrived on the train from Germany to Italy, and I saw him, and I was 11, and I ran across the train tracks, several train tracks, to go hug him. So anyway, that was very memorable for me. Yeah.
I thought you were going to say a train was coming. Okay. So I was a little bit worried there. Awesome. Well, we only have a couple minutes left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with the audience, what the next steps are for them. So I want to thank Angela and Anita for being here. And then I also want to thank, John and Letha for being here a little bit earlier. So Steven, who is our producer for the show, I'm going to ask you to bring Angela and Anita down into the lobby. You ladies, thank you so much for being here. Now remember, share it out, because if you want to win, you want to get those votes. So go ahead and send them down. We heard that, girl. Okay, so here it is, Taco Tuesday. Here's your opportunity to go ahead and vote for the person that you thought was the best fit to be with me on the show. My name is Lynda West. I'm the creator and the brainchild behind this whole Taco Tuesday thing, where our mission is to have fun and to provide inspiring, positive, uplifting content for you, the viewer. So how you're going to vote is go to tacotuesday.tv. Stephen will put that up on the screen there. The polls will open today at 5 p.m. Pacific time. But I want to announce our winners from last week. So if you're ready, Stephen, would you come on? Because you don't know who the winners are either. So I want you to come on. You can share this moment with me.
I don't.
I know.
I'm waiting. Who could it be?
Are you on the edge of your seat? Are you totally like on the edge of your seat?
Totally, yeah. I mean, I have no idea. So let's reveal.
So here's the thing. Last week we had, I don't know if you have last week's. I forgot to ask you about that, to have that ready. But last week we had with us Clara Alden, Cheryl Piper Snyder, Lynda Summers, and Rohit Juneja. I don't think I said his name right. I'm sorry, Rohit. But I wanted to announce the winners of that round. So basically round 2 runs until the end of November. And then starting January 8th will be the start of the actual show. But so round 1 goes to the end of November, and then starting in December will be round 2, and then we'll have the finals, and then we'll have like our final show. It'll be me with 2 of the co-hosts. I'm excited to know who they're going to be as well. So I'm going to introduce to you. I can't really introduce to you because they're not here right now because they don't know that they're winning, but I'm going to introduce you by not introducing to you the winners. And that is, this is my drum roll.
Drum roll. Da-da-da. Oh, that was out of tune. Carry on, Lynda.
Okay, you guys ready? Okay, the winners are Clara Alden and Lynda Summers. So Clara Alden and Lynda Summers, you guys have voted for them that they're going to go into round 2. So thank you so much for your votes. Make sure that at 5 p.m. today, starting at 5 p.m. today, that you vote for today's this show 2 people so that we can find out who goes into the next round. Now, again, the polls will open at 5 p.m. and then they will close Monday, whatever day that is, next Monday. I don't even know. Monday, the whatever. And they'll close it Monday at midnight. And so you have to vote now. Start your voting now. And you guys, I want to thank you so much for being here, for helping me to fulfill one of my dreams, which is, putting on my own talk show. It's been something I've been thinking about for quite a while. And so I want to thank you for being part of that. Steven is the producer of the show. And Steven, why don't you just say something really, really quick about you and what you do?
I'm glad that I do not get a vote and I don't have to choose, because I was enthralled watching everybody tonight. And I just want to say something to Angela. Angela, I did watch one of your videos earlier today, and I will never buy extra virgin oil ever again. Okay. Only in the summer. Angela knows what I mean. That's a win. But yeah, it's been great to listen to everybody today. And Anita sends her love, and so does Joe. And Karen is saying you're doing fabulous, Anita, and Karen sends love as well. So over to you, Lynda.
Okay, well, Steven is producing this show. He also produces other shows. So if you're a person who is interested in having your own show, whether it's just you or it's doing a talk show style or whatever kind of style you might want to do, and if you want to have somebody running the board so you can just shine the shining light that you are, Steven is definitely the person for you. So you can reach out to him, or you can reach out to me and ask me how to get in contact with him. So again, I want to thank you guys so much for being here for Taco Tuesday. We will be here next Tuesday at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. UK time. As you might have noticed, Steven had a little different accent than I do. He's from the UK. And so 8 p.m. UK time here on the same channel, Living Live. Please like the show, Living Live Show. So it's at Living Live Show on Facebook, and share this video out so we can share the beauty of these wonderful people that we interviewed today. So with that, you guys, I will see you next week, and you have a wonderful week, and I can't wait to see who you vote. Bye-bye.